So, in this story, the narrator describes a very special type of people, very independent thinkers, far from being submissive. They are aggressive in a politely offensive manner. They are constantly doing other people favors that leave them feeling like a fool. The narrator calls such people Klausners, after his neighbors who had such second name and who belonged to this type of people. The narrator's family lived in the suburbs, which um, in which personal contact between neighbors is unavoidable. That's why, as soon as the Klausners moved to Great Neck, the family was exposed to their influence. For the first time, the narrator heard about the Klausners from his wife Estelle and children Michael during dinner. They were telling jokes about them, and it took the narrator a little while to understand the humor and the hostility and the fear caused by the family's increasing sense of inferiority. It sounded like the Klausners were the most successful and the most sensible people they'd ever met. They were like the best almost at everything. Quite soon, the Klausners invited them for a party. Before it, the only member of the family the narrator had met was Harvey Klausner, his son's new best friend. Rather frequently, Michael invited him to come over, and Harvey Klausner was a very polite boy. Um, he never was in the way, he never stayed too late. The only problem the narrator had with him was his own son. Being a Klausner, Harvey was good at everything, biking, casino, and after playing together, Michael's mood worsened. Finally, the day of the party came. Estelle did her best to look great and impress everyone. She bought a very expensive dress in a chai chai boutique, La Louise. She paired it with a jacket in person style, in which she looked very well. Under her pressure to honor the occasion, the narrator put on a new tie. When they came to the Klausner's place, it turned out that they were overdressed. Mrs. Klausner noticed that Estelle looked lovely but too elaborate. The double nature of this remark spoiled Estelle's mood in a moment. To make things worse, Mrs. Klausner insisted on Estelle standing up to have her jacket admired. While they were discussing the jacket, Estelle mentioned that she had bought it in La Louise. In response to it, Mira started telling the guests about the advantages of shopping in a department store, which made Estelle feel even worse. However, in general, the evening passed pleasantly. The food was terrific, and the conversation was involving. Among other things, they discussed their community pool, and Herman Klausner offered a very good program for the next year, which would allow they eliminate the competitive spirit and class distinction among children. Everyone appreciated that idea. However, on returning home, Estelle said that Mira had noticed a place in her jacket where the stitching was loose and said it was irregular. Her mood was spoiled completely as she hated to be made a fool of. After this evening, small incidents which included Klausner's continued to happen. Gerald Klausner was trying to teach Joseph skating, but he wasn't good at it, so he fell off and broke his leg. Emily and her classmates were going through a phase, through a period of storm and drang. The only one who had already reached biologic and physiologic maturity was Emily Klausner. Finally, the narrator decided that it was enough to sorry. So finally, the narrator decided that it was enough to broke off. Finally, the narrator decided to broke off all their relations with Klausners, but since they still lived in the same neighborhood, it was impossible to avoid all the relations with them. So in summer, the pool was opened and an open swimming tournament by age groups was arranged. In the first elimination round, participants were competing they were competing in pairs. There was a drawing, and the chief swimming instructor pulled swimming instructor pulled 2 cards at a time, calling off the names of competitors. Michael was paired with his ex-best friend Harvey Klausner. He could beat anyone else but Harvey. The narrator persuaded him withdraw and default to Harvey. He thought it was better than to have to go through the heartbreak of default. And as it was expected, Harvey won in his age group. Adults were to compete last, and as ill luck would have it, the narrator drew Klausner. Before he learned his rival would be Klausner, he had promised Michael to win the competition. He felt sorry for him. He thought he would be disappointed in his father, but unexpected happened. Just before the competition, Herman slipped and fell off. He was kicked out, and the narrator was paired with another man, and he won the competition. But Michael, did not accept this victory, as the narrator had not won against Mr. Klausner. After all, Estelle and the narrator talked things over and decided to move to other neighborhood, far away from Klausner's, to be safe. Klausner's helped them to find a buyer for the old house, a friend of theirs, so the family of the narrator could avoid paying commission. To thank them for it, the narrator sent them a small gift, a Danish silver punch bowl set. So this is the end of the story.